I'm trying out the watercolour brushes in Artrage on the iPad. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here. It occurred to me that although I've used Artrage a lot, and I've used the PC version, and I've done a lot of watercolours in Artrage on the PC, including portraits and things, I've never actually done I've never actually done a watercolour on the iPad version, or in this case the iPad Pro version of Artrage. So I thought I would give it a go, and I've used 3 brushes for this painting. I've used the heavy bleed, which is what I've put all the colours on in the sky and the foreground that's going on now. That's all the heavy bleed brush. I use the harsh chaos palette knife to blend out the edges of the sky. So wherever it's blended, that's been done with the palette knife. And then finally at the end, I put in some highlights, and I use the dry on wet brush. And those are the only 3 brushes that I've used in the whole of this painting. And also, I didn't change the presets of any of those. I didn't change any of the settings. They were exactly as they come default. I didn't change anything except for the size, obviously, but I didn't change opacity or anything like that. I used 4 or 5, 6 layers perhaps on this painting, and I didn't use multiply mode or anything. I just used everything straight flat. So it's quite a simple painting, really. I did notice though that I was getting a bit of a lag. The more layers I created, the more the lag started to be quite obvious. So I started to merge. It wasn't a real problem because I merged the layers down as I started to develop the painting. Now this is interesting. This thing that's going on now, I jumped the gun a bit because I started putting these dark colours in way too soon. With watercolour, you build it up from light to the dark. So I then created another layer underneath and tried to go back in and put in the mid tones that I'd missed out before going in with these dark ones. And then I thought, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. So I used the eraser and I just took all of that out. I deleted the extra layer I created and went back and did it in the correct order, where I was getting the next tonal value on the whole of the field before I decided to start putting in some heavy lines. And this is, the weather's cooled down a lot in the UK this week, so it's great. I'm loving it. But I've still got a lot of material that I took from when it was really hot. So this is obviously one of those sort of hot days. The photo probably doesn't show it as much as I remember it, but it was a really hot day. And I wanted to kind of capture that in the painting. So I'm using really sort of light pastel colours. I'm not using anything too dark. And I'm using purples, which is obviously a warm colour for the shadows. So here we're going again. I'm now using, so everything's picked off the colour circle here. I'm not messing about making palettes as I normally do. I tend not to in Artrage. I don't know why, or in the iPad version. On the PC I would, but I'm just happy to select the colours off the palette. I think it's maybe because I'm treating it more like a sketch than a full-on painting. At this point, I'm strengthening up the clouds and putting a few twigs in. And I get a bit excited about this and a bit over the top and start putting in these strong colours. And I use the harsh chaos brush to soften them off. They say, oh no, it's not working. You know what? I think this is going to be one of those paintings where where less is more. So the less fiddly I get, the better this painting is going to look. So I really tried not to go too heavy with the colours. And this foreground sort of gave me a bit of a problem because it's, if you look at the photo, there's not a lot happening there. It's just a bit of hay that's, I assume harvested is the right word for cutting down a field full of hay. But this is obviously been trimmed, and so I'm going in and I'm kind of making up shapes and things in this foreground to give the impression that it is some hay, or it's an hay field. So I kind of ignoring the photo to some extent. At first I did try to use the photo, but it just wasn't happening. And then I decided to wing it a bit and put in these sort of grassy type shapes. But at the minute it's still all looking a little bit abstract. So I put a little bit of a shadow on that sort of tree that's in the middle of the painting there. And then I sign it because that gives me a breather and chance to think about what I'm going to do. You see, I was merging the layers down there, and I decided it needed some highlights. So at this point, I'm still using the heavy bleed brush, and they're okay, but I'm thinking I want it to be, I'm going to want to put some sharper lines in. So now I'm using the dry on wet, and you can see that they are sharper, and I up the colour a little bit, and that is it. That is my first watercolour in Artrage on the iPad. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated, helps me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.